Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're starting the series I'm calling Time to Cook, where I'm going to be reviewing every episode of Breaking Bad, all 62. So why not begin with the first episode, of course, simply titled Pilot. So obviously this episode does what every series first episode should do: establish the characters, premise, setting, and story. And obviously this show follows our mostly two characters, one being Walter Hartwell White and Jesse Pinkman. So Walter here was a former chemistry teacher who finds out he has lung cancer and decides to start cooking meth with one of his former students to make money. And that's the basic premise of the entire series, and throughout the rest of the series they get into hilarious hijinks with other people like Gus Fring, Mike Ehrmantraut, and many, many other characters. And through it all, Walter White has to keep his meth-making business away from his wife and son. So yeah, that's the entire premise of Breaking Bad. But let's get into the first episode. So, note, I don't want to go through it scene by scene, but the plot of the episode basically just follows the basics of what I just said in that premise. It starts out with Walter waking up on his 50th birthday, and he goes to work, and he collapses, and he goes to the hospital. He finds out he has lung cancer, and he decides to do a meth lab bust with his brother-in-law, Hank, who is a member of the DEA, where he comes across one of his former students, Jesse Pinkman. And he decides to go to Jesse's house and proposes that he helps cook meth with him, because Jesse kind of needs the help, because his former partner got locked away by Hank, and Walter is a chemistry teacher who knows what he's doing. And then they cook. And that's the episode, really. I mean, there's an action sequence involving their RV and Jesse's former partner trying to kill Walter and Jesse. And yeah, that's really the whole episode. It's not really much besides establishing the premise and the characters. But I do want to point out some things in this episode that, note, I haven't seen the entire series, obviously. I'm just doing this as a documenting my experience with this show. But the way this fucking episode opens is so funny to me. It opens up with Walter driving an RV filled with noxious gas and two supposedly dead bodies and he's driving it in his underwear. And that's how it starts. And I was laughing, man. It was so funny. But enough of that. Let's get into if this episode works or doesn't. Well, I'm just gonna say it does work. It's a good first episode. I don't really have any problems with it. I think the only real issue I have with this first episode is that they probably go into this reason later, but they don't really explain why Walter decides to cook meth with Jesse. And they might go into it later, but as of this first episode, they don't really go into it, and that's kind of my only real criticism, is that I wish they explained why he decides to cook meth. Like, I guess he just gets the idea from seeing the bust and the chemistry equipment when he goes in with that meth lab bust with Hank. But you don't really see why. I know it's because he gets cancer, but like, why? Is he doing it to get money to help afford a treatment, or is he doing it to help his family? Like, I don't really know, and they probably go into it later, but that's really my only real criticism with this episode. But overall, I'd give this episode a solid 8 out of 10. Anyway, I want to keep in mind, I want to try to do this daily, by the way, but if I miss a day, don't get mad at me. And like I said, I will also do this with Better Call Saul, but our Breaking Bad saga has just begun. That's one episode down, 61 to go. I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.